When I first stumbled across whispers of the mysterious entity known as Slender Man on an obscure internet forum, I figured he was just an urban legend. An unsettling campfire boogeyman fabricated to spook forum goers, nothing more. But the scattered accounts I read described such bizarrely specific encounters with the same tall, thin, faceless being that some kernel of credibility lodged in my mind. These people feared on a primal level that Slender Man was real somehow. I became obsessed with unraveling the mythos surrounding this apparition. Who originally created him, and why did he strike such a chord of horror in the collective unconscious? The earliest online origins I unearthed point back to a 2009 Photoshop contest on the Something Awful forums. The creator was aiming to digitally produce the most terrifying supernatural photograph imaginable. After countless failed attempts conjuring various ghouls, monsters, and mutants, he finally achieved spine-tingling perfection with the now iconic Slender Man image. It depicted a pale, unnaturally tall and thin figure in a black suit, with disturbingly long, branch-like arms and no facial features whatsoever. This visually simple but fundamentally creepy photo struck a deep-seated fear in those who saw it. It rapidly spread across the web, and stories began emerging claiming to have encountered Slender Man in childhood or bearing uncanny resemblance to the vague figure. He had apparently tapped into a shared nightmare, taking on a life as an internet-fueled urban legend. A modern, digital boogeyman for the online era. In my research, I traced the chilling evolution of the Slender Man mythos over years across forums, fictionalized accounts, fan art, and gaming communities. But scattered among the creepypastas and horror tropes were those who seemed genuinely terrified at the entity's purported existence, leaking into reality. The barriers between fiction and delusion were fraying due to Slender's hold on susceptible minds. This profoundly disturbing fusion came to a head in 2014, when the Slender Man legend culminated in a true crime tragedy that shook the world. Two 12-year-old girls, Anissa Wire and Morgan Geyser, lured their friend into the Wisconsin woods after an overnight birthday party. There, they stabbed the victim 19 times, miraculously sparing her life though inflicting critical injuries. When questioned later by authorities, the young perpetrators blamed their actions on loyalty to the mythical Slender Man. They claimed to be under his control, facing deadly consequences if they did not commit murder to appease him. This shocking case revealed the very real threat posed by intentionally blurring fiction and reality in impressionable minds. Slender Man had essentially become a folktale meets tulpa, a thought form manifested through collective belief and fear. But at what point does the digital phantasm truly morph into something more sinister and autonomous? How many violent outcomes need to occur before a fictional entity is accepted as an authentic evil among us? After the brutal stabbing, the Slender Man internet community recoiled, removing sites and condemning the violence carried out in the ever-shifting legend's name. But the faceless specter's imprint remains etched in the web's fabric. His vacant visage still haunts the imagination of those who stumble too far down the rabbit hole of manufactured fear, blurring reality's boundaries. There will likely always be those who believe Slender's reach extends into our physical world. But where does the horror end and culpability begin when fiction fuels atrocities by poisoning fragile minds? Perhaps the fault lies not with an imaginary demon's corrupting influence, but with the human psyche's innate flaw, clinging too fiercely to the dark beings we summon from the depths of imagination until they overshadow even cold reality. We all hold kernels of shadow and malice within, but most maintain the crucial divide between virtual fantasy and flesh and blood deeds. Slender Man represents the loss of this barrier, when the abysses of the mind are set loose to consume and overwhelm the sacred realms of life and humanity. That is the true parable of Slender Man, as I've come to realize. Not a cautionary tale about a folkloric monster creeping into reality, but a warning of the monsters we nurture in our own minds, which can compel vulnerable vessels toward evil when fantasy is embraced as fact. There is no faceless creature stalking the forests. Slender Man exists only as a digital phantasm, a collective delusion given form and function based on our innermost fears. But very real darkness lurks within misguided souls who would. So beware the perilous precipice between creativity and delusion. Those who lose themselves over the brink to obsession and madness drag others down with them. The human cost can be devastating when the reassuring laws of our world are shattered. Does a predator named Slender Man loiter out in the remote woodlands, tempting innocence toward violence? No. But let its dreadful myth serve as a grave reminder that the greatest evils often arise from within. And we must guard always against false beliefs and mythologies that drive troubled minds toward harming reality. For when imagination's beasts overrun reason's defenses, our shared refuge of sanity, justice, and humanity falls swiftly under siege. This is the cautionary truth lurking behind internet lore of the elusive Slender Man. His legend morality tale made flesh, fiction turned delusion with a ruinous human toll. A chilling allegory for the monsters we birth from fear, which may simply mirror the lurking darkness already within us all.